You may have heard of a white dwarf star before, but what exactly is happening as a star like our own Sun turns into a compact white dwarf star? Understanding more about white dwarf stars and how they are created could enable astronomers to gain a greater understanding as to what will happen to our solar system in the future and what will happen when our Sun dies. So, let's explore interesting information about white dwarf stars. What are white dwarf stars? A white dwarf is what stars like the Sun become after they have exhausted their nuclear fuel. Near the end of its nuclear burning stage, this type of star expels most of its outer material, creating a planetary nebula. Only the hot core of the star remains. A white dwarf star, also called a degenerate dwarf, is composed mostly out of electron-degenerate matter. A white dwarf is quite dense. Its mass may be comparable to that of the Sun, while its volume could be comparable to that of Earth. How white dwarf stars are formed? When the star, unable to generate nuclear fusion, will begin to collapse when all of the hydrogens are consumed. As it collapses, enough heat is created to start nuclear fusion again, this time consuming the helium. This process will continue until the gravitational force is too strong. The fusion process will stop at carbon for most stars. At this point, the star will explode and leave a hot, small, dense carbon core, a white dwarf. Since nuclear fusion is no longer occurring, gravity still acts on the star and all of the matter is compressed under tremendous internal pressure. Even the electrons within the atoms of the white dwarf are compressed and compacted together. This immense pressure causes electrons to be much more closely smashed together than normal and is called degenerate electrons. When the white dwarf has reached the degenerate phase, gravity can no longer compress it further, and due to quantum mechanical principles, the white dwarf will not completely collapse. Even though white dwarfs are small, they have immense mass due to the presence of degenerate electrons. Discovery of white dwarf stars. The first white dwarf to be discovered was found because it is a companion star to Sirius, a bright star in the constellation Canis Major. In 1844, astronomer Friedrich Bessel noticed that Sirius had a slight back and forth motion as if it was orbiting an unseen object. This companion star was later determined to be a white dwarf. This pair are now referred to as Sirius A and B, with B being the white dwarf. The orbital period of this system is about 50 years. Some white dwarf stars host planets. While there is some debate as to how planets may form around white dwarfs, many white dwarfs are nevertheless orbited either by planets. Some theory suggests that planets orbiting white dwarfs are the remains of planets that were destroyed by the creation of the white dwarf, such as would happen when our Sun swells up during its red giant phase. In our case, Earth might end up as a disintegrating rocky body orbiting the Sun in its white dwarf phase. End life of white dwarf stars. Although white dwarf stars are considered to be stable after their formation, but they will eventually cool down to become cold, black dwarfs. However, due to the opacity or resistance of their outer layers to radiation, it is estimated that white dwarfs will take about 10 to the power 34 to 10 to the power 35 years to reach this state. This exceedingly long lifetime is based on the known lifetime of protons, which is far longer than it will take for galaxies to disperse or evaporate. White dwarfs can also be cannibalized or evaporated by a companion star, thus causing the white dwarf to lose much of its mass, becoming a planetary object, a host star, maybe even a helium or diamond planet. Some examples of white dwarf stars. Theoretically, white dwarfs cannot exceed 1.4 solar masses. Some examples of white dwarf stars are Sirius B, Procyon B, the center of Helix Nebula. The nearest known white dwarf to us is Sirius B, at a distance of 8.6 light-years away. Thank you guys for watching my video. Please like, comment and share this video. And subscribe my channel for more interesting videos like this.